landlords have now got to up their game.
The bill in its current form will in some areas be, I fear, counterproductive and drive landlords from the market, as well as putting up rents for tenants.
The Renters' Rights Act was very, very popular amongst our viewers. Rare win for the government. So when are the changes coming in?
It's going to make it much harder for landlords to...
If you rent in the UK, this video affects you. And if you're a landlord in the UK, you could even say this video will affect you even more. Private rental sector is going through one of the biggest shakeups that we have seen in decades. So it's very important for you to understand exactly what's going on. Because at the moment, there's a bit of confusion. Some people think it's already a law. I've seen landlords thinking that it doesn't necessarily apply to them and they may be able to get away with it. And then there's others out there who believe it applies to everyone. Yet none of those are quite right. So in this video, my friends, I'm going to walk you through exactly what isn't happening, who this actually applies to, and when this is realistically going to hit our real lives. So just for some quick context here, about 11 million people rent privately in the UK, which is a massive chunk of the population. And so the Renters Reform Bill was actually designed to rebalance the private rental market. And ways in which it did this was by potentially offering more security for tenants and more structure and accountability for landlords. And I guess you could just say an overall fairer market. Now straight away, let me just be clear about something, because this is where a lot of people get confused. This is a UK issue, but the legal changes only apply to England themselves. You see, housing law is devolved, which means England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland all set their own renting rules. So that distinction, my friends, matters. Now this is another big area of confusion, who this does and does not apply to. You see, the bill itself applies to the residential private sector in England, and it doesn't apply to any sort of commercial property. So your things like shops, offices, warehouses, commercial leases, none of those are actually going to get touched by this bill. Alongside this, it also doesn't apply to council tenants or housing association tenants, meaning this bill is specifically designed for people who rent privately, typically under an AST, an assured short hold tenancy, or similar arrangements. So friends, if that applies to you, then make sure you keep watching. The end of no fault evictions. Now this is the big headline act, and you've probably seen multiple videos and multiple blogs around this. Hey, I've even done a few myself. Section 21, also known as the no-fault eviction, is now being abolished, which on the surface, my friends, is absolutely brilliant news. Because you see, the way the private rental sector is at the moment, a landlord can give a tenant 2 months notice without any reason to get packing, even if the tenant has done nothing wrong, which I can only imagine causes a great relief for good tenants out there who may have sadly experienced evictions in the past. So this is the number one question that everyone's asking. When does this actually come into force?
So the announcement came out today that the Renters' Rights Act will be implemented on the 1st of May 2026. We have a 6-month implementation period, and then the act is live on the 1st of May.
So the law came into force, it got royal assent a couple of weeks ago when the King signed it. The measures in it come into force on the 1st of May. So we've just agreed that by talking with representatives of the renters groups and the landlords groups. But it means that from that date, if you're a renter, you're protected against a no-fault eviction. And that's people being thrown out of their own home by landlords for no reason.
So what's actually happening? Now going forward, landlords can only regain possession of the property using specific legal grounds. This is key information, my friends. So things like serious rent arrears, criminal or antisocial behavior, selling the property, or if the landlord or close family are now moving in. And crucially, and hopefully this will alleviate some of your concerns, all of these grounds will need proper evidence, which, let's face it, this is a massive shift in power and a huge advantage for tenants out there, especially the good ones. Now surprisingly, this one hasn't gained enough attention. Fixed term tenancies are being abolished. No more standard 6-month or 12-month lock-ins. Instead, all tenancies are now periodic from day one, month to month. And here's another good change for tenants. Tenants themselves can leave with just 2 months notice, whereas landlords, as I mentioned earlier, can only make a tenant leave using valid grounds from this list here. Now the rationale behind this makes complete sense. This has been done so it stops the current pattern of landlords simply waiting for the tenancy to end before issuing a notice to the tenant. And if you're a tenant, this is obviously great news because it alleviates any of the anxiety and also provides you more flexibility around where you're living or where you choose to live. Yet on the flip side, landlords could argue 2 months notice at any stage isn't necessarily quite fair. But in my opinion, with a shortage supply out there, and if you've got a decent house that you're providing for people who are renting, then you shouldn't have any issues finding anyone to rent within that 2-month period. Now this is a big one, and this will hopefully separate the poor landlords from the good ones. Every private landlord is now going to be required to join a government approved ombudsman scheme. This is not optional. So if a tenant has disputes over, let's say, repairs, illegal fees, harassment, being ignored, they don't necessarily automatically have to go to court, which can be quite daunting or even costly in the first instance. Instead, they can go to the ombudsman instead. And it's here where the ombudsman can investigate, order fixes, award compensation, and issue binding decisions. And this is a really important bit, especially because I believe poor landlords should be held accountable. Because if a landlord does not comply with this, they can not only just face penalties, but they could also get banned from operating legally. So just that alone fundamentally changes everything within the private rental sector, potentially identifying and getting rid of the bad eggs. However, I know what some of you are now thinking. What about the rogue tenants? And boy, have I had my own experience about this, which I've shared on this video over here. Well, the truth is they may seem to get away with it again, and if they know what they're doing, there's always ways a tenant can live within a property for an extensive period of time and kind of get away with that. And unfortunately, that's just one of the risks landlords have to deal with.
Historically, landlords haven't put rents up. They were forced to put rents up when the interest rate went up in 2022 under Liz Truss.
Now, here's an important one, especially with the way the cost of everything is going up. One thing we're not seeing slowing down anytime soon is unfortunately rent. So what's the situation with rent increases? Now, within this bill, they're not actually going to be banned. However, they are being tightened. You see, under the new rules, landlords can only increase rent once a year. And in order to do this, they must also give 2 months notice. Now, in case you're wondering, well, they're going to increase it every year. Maybe they will. However, one thing to be mindful of is that the rent increase must be fair and also reflect the market rate. So for example, if everything on your road is renting for £1,000 for a similar type of property, your landlord can't suddenly come and say, by the way, I want £1,400 in 3 months' time. That's not going to happen. And if you are worried about that, or even if you receive that kind of message now, there are some things that you actually can do. Because if you're renting and you feel that the rental increase is unfair or way above market rate, you can actually challenge this through a tribunal. And not many people will tell you this, but it certainly makes arbitrary or just excessive increases harder to push through. And my guess is that the landlord will have to retract and offer you a more favourable and fairer rent. So finally, what's not changing? Again, a very, very important point. You have to remember that this bill does not protect bad behaviour. So if you're a landlord, rest assured, if a tenant fails on the grounds that we mentioned earlier in this video, you still have legal rights to get rid of them, providing of course you do it properly. Therefore, tenants still have to pay rent, they still have to look after the property, and they still have to follow the rules, which I think is fair. And upon reflection, you can definitely say that this isn't necessarily a totally anti-landlord type of bill. It's more of an anti-chaos bill, which I'm all for. I think it's very, very important that we separate bad landlords from good landlords within this industry. And although I'd like a register where you can literally put rogue tenants, I've accepted that that's never likely going to happen. But hey, if you have any more questions around this, my friends, please drop it in the comments. And as always, thanks for watching.
Telling you that I think this bill is a reasonable compromise. You know, this represents the most significant change for over 30 years. It has to be a balanced bill with some give and take on both sides.
We're really not happy about this, but the landlords seem ecstatic, to be honest.